Welcome once again to another edition of Shelf Life Book Reviews Online. Thank you for tuning into my YouTube channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, hopefully you'll subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And if you're watching this on Shelf Life's Facebook page, make sure you add it to your likes and forward the link to your friends, your book-loving friends. As always, I'm bringing to your attention two very highly recommended books. They are interesting books in that they're sort of fantasy. And they're very different, but they're still highly recommended. The first book is The Charmed Wife by Olga Grushin. This is published by Putnam, and it retails for $36. Now, I'm sure everybody will have read Cinderella. Well, this book, The Charmed Wife, is based on the fairy tale of Cinderella. Now, definitely it's not for children. It is an adult version of the classic fairy tale. Now, in this, it's modern day, and Cinderella has been married to Prince Charming, who is King Roland, for almost 13 years. They have two children, and you'd think they're ready to live happily ever after, but no. Cinderella decides she's getting fed up with this. She doesn't like him. He takes her for granted. He's not really like a real king to her. He's more like a peasant. And she decides she wants out of this marriage. It's been, like I said, 13 and a half years pretty well since everything came together in that glorious wedding ceremony. But now, the shine is off the marriage. So she tries to decide ways to get him out of her life. So she goes at midnight to meet this evil witch. And as they put things in the cauldron, she decides she wants him murdered. Now, cooler heads prevail. And so they finally decide, no, maybe a divorce is the better way. Like, why murder the man? And you're not going to live happily ever after if you murder him, because you could go to jail. But in fairy tales, I don't know how many went to jail. So it makes it for a very, very interesting take on the classic. There's a lot of interesting fairy tale characters here, like Brie and Nibbles. They are the talking mice who are sort of her conscience, and they watch over her. And there are a lot of interesting people, interesting interactions. And she goes to modern day, like New York, and she decides what she wants to do. Does she want to do Cinderella's cleaning service? Or how is she going to figure this all out after she leaves her prince, King Roland? So if you're looking for a very entertaining book, a very light read, it's not intense, it's not a drama, it's just fun. And I'm going to read you the concluding paragraph here. It's in almost classic fairy tale style. It says, "That night when I go to bed, I dream of being a witch. I dream of being a sleeping beauty. I dream of being a gingerbread house. I dream of being a prince. I dream of being a falling star, a rushing wind, a rustling forest. When I wake up in the morning, the sun is pouring through my window, and everything looks unexpected. Perhaps I think I have finally dreamed myself into a new story, a story with no commonplaces, an entirely different, as yet unknown story that will be the beginning after the familiar end." And the book finishes with the beginning. So it's a lot of fun. If you're looking for a very light read, like I said, look up this book, because The Charmed Wife is a charming work of fiction. The second book of interest is The 7-Day Switch by Kelly Harms. This is published by Lake Union, and it retails for $21.99. They are comparing this book to the popular film Freaky Friday. Now, I did not see the film Freaky Friday, but I guess there is a sort of a body switch where their brain goes into the other person's body. Well, this book is basically based on the switch between two women. What happens is that they're enjoying Pink Sangria, and suddenly, the next day, they wake up in each other's body. Now, Celeste Mason finds herself in the body of Wendy Charles. Now, Celeste is she's a stay-at-home mom. Her husband Seth is a sculptor, but he's kind of a deadbeat. Now, Wendy Charles, she's a go-getter. And so she's always, striving for the best. She doesn't care. She's not a perfectionist. Like, her house is not in perfect shape. But Celeste is more regimented. Everything's got to be detailed. So it becomes a real interesting juxtaposition when each woman is in the other person's body. Now, before, they really weren't terribly close to one another, like they were neighbors and sort of friends, but now they're bonded by the fact that they're in each other's bodies. Now, of course, they can't tell their husbands. They both have children, too, so they figure if they try to explain this to their families, they'll think they're crazy. So it's sort of a comedy of errors. And the book is told through the eyes of each woman, chapter by chapter, as they're in the other person's body. Now, there's sort of a moral to the story, too, that they take each other's lives for granted, and they really don't see what the other person has to go through every day. It's not easy being this person. It might look okay on the outside, but especially Celeste, when she goes and takes over Wendy's body and takes over her house, she sees how disorganized everything is. The food, the expired labels and things like that. And so she wants to get all the food on the shelves almost alphabetical. So it's kind of a farce at times. But as we see, the more they're into this, the fact is they start to fear that maybe they'll never go back to their regular bodies. Now they're waiting to get a bottle of the Pink Sangria that they had before they finished the bottle off, so there's none left, so they had to order it special. So the question is, will it get there in time to save them? And as their lives sort of spiral downward, it gets funnier. But at the end, we see it really is a serious thing, because Wendy, she has an accident and she almost dies. Now Celeste is in her body, so she figures she might, her spirit's going to die with her. So it becomes very tense at the last. But as we see, the women really, they do bond. Celeste gets rid of her deadbeat husband Seth, who is actually more a womanizer, because she sees through Wendy's eyes that he makes a pass at Wendy. So it's interesting. At times it's almost confusing, because who's talking through whose body and who's seeing the world through their eyes. But still, the 7-Day Switch, if you want a different kind of book, just like the very first one, The Charmed Wife, this is not a fairy tale, this is a fantasy. And if you like a fantasy what-if sort of book, this book is definitely for you. So those are the two books that I highly recommend this week. Hopefully when you're out making your book purchases, you will very seriously consider these two. So, as always, now that I've come to the end of my book reviews, I say to you, please send me your comments, positive and negative. Hopefully you will agree with what I'm saying, or if you totally disagree, let me know too. I like feedback, and hopefully you will send your comments. So, as I say to you, until we meet again, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and stay safe, stay sane, stay social distancing, and do stay in touch. Bye for now. See you real soon.